Nestled within the rugged expanse of the Rocky Mountains lies a realm where untamed wilderness meets whispers of the supernatural. These towering peaks, ancient forests, and secluded valleys have long been revered for their breathtaking beauty and untold mysteries. Yet beneath their majestic facade, the Rockies harbor secrets that defy explanation, places steeped in tragedy, folklore, and spectral energy. Welcome back to our haunted storytelling series, where we journey into the unknown, and today, we explore Episode-2, the most haunted places in the Rocky Mountains. The Rocky Mountains are more than just a geographical wonder. They are a canvas painted with centuries of human history, from indigenous legends to tales of pioneer hardships and modern-day enigmas. Each ridge and ravine holds stories of lives lived and lost, of dreams shattered and souls left wandering. It is here, amidst the howling winds and shadowy pines, that some of the most chilling hauntings in North America are said to occur. Ghost towns frozen in time, abandoned mines echoing with the cries of miners, and remote cabins harboring dark histories. These are the places where the veil between worlds grows thin, inviting those brave enough to listen. In this episode, we will venture into the heart of the Rockies, uncovering the eerie tales tied to its most infamous locations. From ghostly apparitions roaming forgotten settlements to disembodied voices calling out in the dead of night, every corner of these mountains holds a secret waiting to be unearthed. We'll hear first-hand accounts from locals who have witnessed inexplicable phenomena, delve into chilling historical records that paint a grim picture of the past, and examine evidence collected by paranormal investigators who dared to spend nights in these haunted havens. As you settle in for this journey, prepare yourself for an exploration of both the seen and the unseen. This isn't just another ghost story, it's a descent into a world where the line between reality and nightmare blurs, and where the spirits of those left behind refuse to fade into oblivion. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and let us guide you through the haunting legacy of the Rocky Mountains. Are you ready to face what lies beyond the veil? The forgotten town of Silver Plume, echoes of desperation high in the Colorado Rockies, nestled among jagged peaks and dense evergreen forests, lies the ghost town of Silver Plume, a place where prosperity once flourished but despair now reigns supreme. Established in the late 1800s during the height of the silver mining boom, Silver Plume was a bustling community of prospectors, merchants, and families chasing fortune in the unforgiving terrain. Its streets were alive with the clamor of saloons, the clanging of pickaxes, and the laughter of children playing amidst the chaos. Yet, like so many boomtones of its era, Silver Plume's glory days were short-lived, leaving behind a legacy of greed, betrayal, and unrelenting sorrow. At its peak, Silver Plume boasted over 2,000 residents, all drawn by the promise of riches buried deep within the earth. Miners worked tirelessly in treacherous conditions, descending into narrow tunnels carved into the mountainside, their lungs filling with dust as they chipped away at veins of silver ore. The town thrived on the backs of these laborers, yet little thought was given to their safety or well-being. Cave-ins, explosions, and toxic fumes claimed countless lives, their bodies often left entombed in the very mines they sought to conquer. For every ounce of silver extracted, there was a price paid in blood, and it was a debt the town could never repay. But the tragedies didn't end with the miners. As the years passed, Silver Plume became a microcosm of the darker aspects of human nature. Saloon brawls turned deadly, rivalries escalated into vendettas, and lawlessness reigned unchecked. One particularly infamous incident involved the murder of Sarah Whitaker, a young woman whose husband, Thomas, had grown increasingly possessive and violent. In 1893, during a heated argument, Thomas allegedly struck Sarah with a lantern, setting her ablaze. Witnesses claimed to hear her screams echo through the valley as she fled into the night, her charred remains later discovered near the edge of town. Though Thomas was arrested, he mysteriously disappeared before trial, leaving Sarah's spirit to wander the streets of Silver Plume forever. By the early 1900s, the silver market collapsed, and the town began its slow descent into obscurity. Businesses shuttered, families moved away, and the once vibrant community fell silent. Those who remained spoke of strange occurrences, lights flickering in empty buildings, faint music drifting from abandoned saloons, and shadowy figures glimpsed in peripheral vision. Over time, These stories grew into legends, transforming Silver Plume into one of the most haunted places in the Rocky Mountains. Today, visitors to Silver Plume report encountering phenomena that defy logical explanation. The old general store, its shelves still stocked with rusted cans and dusty bottles, is said to be a hotspot for activity. Guests claim to hear footsteps pacing the wooden floors above, accompanied by the sound of objects being moved or dropped. Others describe seeing a translucent figure resembling Sarah Whitaker standing near the counter, her hollow eyes fixed on some unseen point in the distance. When approached, she vanishes without a trace, leaving behind only the faint scent of smoke. The mines themselves remain perhaps the most sinister aspect of Silver Plume's haunted lore. Paranormal investigators exploring the tunnels have captured chilling EVP recordings of disembodied voices pleading for help or warning intruders to leave. Thermal cameras reveal significant temperature drops in certain areas, while EMF detectors spike unpredictably, suggesting the presence of intelligent entities capable of interacting with the physical world. One team member swore he felt cold metal cuffs snap around his wrists, pulling him backward toward the darkness before releasing him abruptly, a phenomenon attributed to the restless spirits of miners trapped within the earth. Even the surrounding wilderness seems imbued with an otherworldly energy. Hikers traversing the trails near Silver Plume often describe feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, as though unseen eyes are watching them from the shadows. Some claim to see ghostly figures dressed in period clothing standing motionless among the trees, their faces obscured by brimmed hats or veils. Others recount hearing distant gunshots, or the mournful wail of a child crying for its mother, despite no evidence of anyone else nearby. Despite, or perhaps because of, its terrifying reputation, Silver Plume continues to draw curious souls eager to confront its malevolent energies. Urban explorers, paranormal investigators, and thrill-seekers descend upon the ghost town, armed with cameras, recording devices, and nerves of steel. Yet few emerge unscathed, their minds imprinted with visions and sensations too vivid to dismiss as mere imagination. As each new adventurer steps into the abyss, they must grapple with the knowledge that what awaits them may be more than they bargained for, a descent into madness, memory, and the unrelenting grip of the past. Silver Plume stands as a haunting reminder of humanity's capacity for both creation and destruction. Once a beacon of hope and ambition, it now serves as a tomb for dreams extinguished and lives lost. Its crumbling structures and desolate streets whisper stories of suffering endured and justice denied, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. And if you dare to listen closely, you may just hear the echoes of those who refuse to be forgotten. The Phantom Miner of Creed, shadows in the depths deep within the labyrinthine tunnels of Creed, Colorado, lies a tale that has chilled the bones of miners and adventurers alike for over a century. The legend of the Phantom Miner. Once a thriving silver mining hub during the late 1800s, Creed attracted fortune seekers from across the country, all eager to stake their claim in the rich veins of the Rocky Mountains. But beneath its surface prosperity lay a darker narrative, one marked by danger, desperation, and death. Among the countless tragedies that unfolded in Creed's mines, none has captured the imagination quite like the story of Jacob Harlow, a miner whose fate remains shrouded in mystery, and whose ghost is said to haunt the depths to this day. Jacob Harlow arrived in Creed in 1891, a wiry man with calloused hands and a determined glint in his eye. Like many others, he came seeking wealth, driven by the promise of striking it rich in the last great Colorado silver boom. He quickly earned a reputation as a skilled miner, known for his ability to navigate even the most treacherous passages. However, Jacob was also fiercely independent, often working alone in the less explored sections of the mine. Locals whispered about his obsession with uncovering a mother lode, a vein so pure and abundant it would make him a king among prospectors. But his relentless pursuit of riches would ultimately lead to his undoing. On a frigid December night in 1893, Jacob descended into the lower levels of the Bulldog mine, ignoring warnings from fellow miners about unstable supports and toxic gases. Hours passed without word from him, prompting a search party to form. When they finally located Jacob's lantern lying discarded near a partially collapsed tunnel, panic set in. Shouting his name, they ventured deeper, only to find signs of struggle. tools scattered haphazardly, splintered wood, and streaks of blood smeared across the walls. Yet, Jacob himself was nowhere to be found. The collapse appeared recent, but no body was recovered, fueling speculation that he might have survived and wandered further into the maze-like tunnels. Weeks turned into months, and Jacob's disappearance became the stuff of local legend. Some believed he had succumbed to the mine's perils, his body forever entombed in its depths. Others whispered of foul play, suggesting rival miners or greedy claim owners had orchestrated his demise. But the most unsettling theory posited that Jacob had stumbled upon something unnatural, a hidden chamber filled with cursed artifacts, or an ancient burial site disturbed by his excavations. Whatever the truth, the Bulldog mine was permanently sealed shortly after the incident, deemed too dangerous to operate. Yet, the legend of the phantom miner lived on. Decades later, urban explorers and paranormal investigators began venturing into the abandoned mines surrounding Creed, drawn by tales of Jacob's ghost. Reports poured in of strange occurrences within the tunnels, cold spots concentrated near certain areas, disembodied voices muttering indistinct phrases, and the sensation of being followed by unseen eyes. One investigator claimed to feel an invisible hand gripping his shoulder as he examined a section of the mine believed to be connected to the Bulldog collapse. Another recounted hearing rhythmic tapping, reminiscent of a pickaxe striking rock, emanating from a pitch-black corridor. Perhaps the most compelling evidence of Jacob's lingering presence comes from eyewitness accounts of a shadowy figure clad in tattered mining gear. Witnesses described seeing the apparition stooped over, diligently chipping away at the walls as though searching for something elusive. Attempts to approach the figure result in its sudden disappearance, leaving behind only the faint metallic scent of ore and the sound of distant footsteps fading into silence. Some claimed to see glowing eyes peering from the darkness, watching silently before vanishing without explanation. Modern-day explorers equipped with thermal imaging cameras have captured intriguing anomalies within the mines. Cold patches appear sporadically, often accompanied by inexplicable EMF spikes. Audio recordings reveal fragmented sentences like, "Help me," and "I'm still here," delivered in tones of sheer desperation. One particularly disturbing discovery involved a team member who accidentally activated an old ventilation system, causing gusts of wind to sweep through the tunnels. Moments later, the group swore they saw a translucent figure standing motionless in the swirling dust, its silhouette distorted by flickering lantern light. Despite, or perhaps because of, its ominous reputation, the mines of Creed continue to draw curious souls eager to confront their malevolent energies. Thrill-seekers descend into the depths armed with headlamps and courage, hoping to catch a glimpse of the phantom miner or unravel the mystery of his disappearance. Yet few emerge unscathed, their minds imprinted with visions and sensations too vivid to dismiss as mere imagination. As each new adventurer steps into the abyss, they must grapple with the knowledge that what awaits them may be more than they bargained for, a descent into madness, memory, and the unrelenting grip of the past. The phantom miner of Creed stands as a haunting reminder of humanity's capacity for both ambition and folly. Once a beacon of hope and perseverance, the mines now serve as tombs for dreams extinguished and lives lost. Their crumbling timbers and desolate chambers whisper stories of suffering endured and justice denied, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. And if you dare to listen closely, you may just hear the echoes of Jacob Harlow, forever searching for the treasure that eluded him in life. The cursed cabin of Dead Man's Gulch, a refuge turned prison tucked away in the remote reaches of Wyoming's Rocky Mountains, lies Dead Man's Gulch, a desolate valley steeped in legend and fear. At its heart stands a solitary cabin, weathered by time and scarred by tragedy, a structure that has earned its reputation as one of the most haunted places in the region. Known locally as the Cursed Cabin, this humble dwelling tells a tale of love, betrayal, and vengeance that transcends generations, binding the living and the dead in an eternal cycle of torment. Those who dare to enter its rotting walls often speak of an oppressive atmosphere, as though the air itself resists their presence, and a pervasive sense of dread that lingers long after they've fled. The origins of the curse date back to the winter of 1874, when a young couple named Clara and Samuel Turner sought refuge in the cabin during a brutal snowstorm. Newlyweds and inexperienced homesteaders, They had ventured into the wilderness hoping to carve out a life together, far from the constraints of society. The cabin, abandoned by previous occupants, seemed like a godsend, a sturdy shelter against the harsh elements. But what began as a sanctuary soon transformed into a prison, both literal and metaphorical, as tensions between Clara and Samuel erupted into violence. Samuel, a volatile man prone to fits of rage, grew increasingly paranoid as supplies dwindled and isolation took its toll. He accused Clara of conspiring against him, convinced she harbored secret plans to abandon him for another suitor. His jealousy reached a fever pitch one fateful evening when he claimed to hear footsteps outside the cabin. Convinced Clara had signaled for help, he attacked her in a blind fury, beating her unconscious before dragging her limp body into the snow. By morning, Clara was dead, her frozen corpse discovered by passing travelers weeks later. Samuel vanished without a trace, leaving behind only cryptic carvings etched into the cabin's wooden beams. She lied. Since then, the cabin has become synonymous with misfortune. Locals warn against approaching it, claiming anyone who dares to cross its threshold invites calamity. Visitors report hearing faint sobbing emanating from within, even when the structure appears empty. Others describe seeing a pale figure resembling Clara standing at the window, her hollow eyes fixed on some unseen point in the distance. When approached, she vanishes without explanation, leaving behind only the faint scent of pine and frost. Paranormal investigators exploring the cabin have captured compelling evidence of its haunted nature. Thermal cameras reveal significant temperature drops concentrated near the fireplace, where Clara is believed to have taken her final breaths. EVP recordings picked up during overnight sessions include fragmented phrases like, "Why did you hurt me?" and "It's so cold," delivered in tones of sheer anguish. One investigator described feeling an overwhelming sense of claustrophobia while standing near the doorframe, as though invisible hands were pressing down on him. Another team member reported seeing shadowy figures wrestling violently in the corner of the room, their movements jerky and unnatural. Adding to the cabin's sinister reputation are the recurring reports of physical manifestations. Doors slam shut on their own, and windows rattle violently despite the absence of wind. Some claim to see tools used in construction, hammers, saws, and nails, floating midair before crashing to the floor. Others have described waking up to find their sleeping bags soaked in icy water, as though someone had doused them intentionally. One particularly unnerving encounter involved a journalist who swore he saw his own reflection in a cracked mirror, only to realize the image staring back at him bore bruises around its neck. The surrounding wilderness also contributes to the cabin's eerie allure. Hikers traversing Dead Man's Gulch often describe feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, as though unseen eyes are watching them from the shadows. Some claim to see ghostly figures dressed in period clothing standing motionless among the trees, their faces obscured by brimmed hats or veils. Others recount hearing distant screams or the mournful wail of a woman crying for mercy, despite no evidence of anyone else nearby. The gulch itself seems imbued with an otherworldly energy, its silence punctuated by the occasional crack of branches snapping under phantom weight. Despite, or perhaps because of, its terrifying reputation, the cursed cabin continues to draw curious souls eager to confront its malevolent energies. Urban explorers, paranormal investigators, and thrill-seekers descend upon the site armed with cameras, recording devices, and nerves of steel. Yet few emerge unscathed, their minds imprinted with visions and sensations too vivid to dismiss as mere imagination. As each new adventurer steps into the abyss, they must grapple with the knowledge that what awaits them may be more than they bargained for, a descent into madness, memory, and the unrelenting grip of the past. The cursed cabin of Dead Man's Gulch stands as a haunting reminder of humanity's capacity for both love and cruelty. Once a beacon of hope and ambition, it now serves as a tomb for dreams extinguished and lives lost. Its crumbling walls and desolate interior whisper stories of suffering endured and justice denied, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. And if you dare to listen closely, you may just hear the echoes of Clara Turner, forever pleading for peace in a place that refuses to grant it. The spectral train of Phantom Pass whispers on the rails among the myriad haunted locales scattered throughout the Rocky Mountains, few evoke as much dread and fascination as the tale of the spectral train of Phantom Pass. This eerie phenomenon, rooted in tragedy and perpetuated by legend, has become a cornerstone of regional folklore, drawing curious souls and skeptics alike to its reputed route. Nestled high in the Montana Rockies, Phantom Pass earned its ominous moniker not only for its treacherous terrain, but also for the ghostly locomotive said to traverse its tracks under the cover of darkness. To this day, those who venture near the pass swear they can hear the distant whistle of the train and catch fleeting glimpses of its spectral form barreling through the mist. The origins of the legend trace back to the winter of 1913, a time when railroads were the lifeblood of commerce and communication in the rugged West. The Great Northern Railway had recently completed a perilous stretch of track cutting through Phantom Pass, connecting isolated mining towns to larger markets. On December 14th of that year, a passenger train carrying over 200 people derailed while navigating the icy curves of the pass. The disaster claimed nearly half the passengers' lives, many of whom were stranded in sub-zero temperatures for hours before rescue teams could reach them. Survivors spoke of unimaginable horrors: bodies crushed beneath twisted metal, cries for help swallowed by the howling winds, and the relentless advance of hypothermia as the storm raged on. What made the tragedy even more haunting was the mysterious disappearance of the train's conductor, Charles Alden. Known for his meticulous attention to detail and unwavering dedication to safety, Alden had reportedly expressed concerns about the hazardous conditions leading up to the journey. Despite his warnings, corporate pressure forced him to proceed with the trip. Witnesses claimed to see Alden pacing anxiously along the platform moments before departure, clutching a pocket watch that ticked incessantly. After the derailment, his body was never recovered, fueling rumors that he had somehow survived, or worse, been cursed to relive the catastrophe eternally. In the decades following the disaster, reports of strange occurrences along the Phantom Pass route began to surface. Locals spoke of hearing the unmistakable chugging of a steam engine late at night, accompanied by the piercing shriek of a train whistle. Yet, no trains were scheduled to run through the area, and the tracks themselves had fallen into disrepair. Travelers brave enough to investigate claimed to see a ghostly locomotive materialize from the fog, its headlights casting an ethereal glow as it sped past without slowing. Some described seeing shadowy figures pressed against the windows, their faces contorted in terror, while others reported feeling a rush of cold air as the train passed, carrying with it the acrid scent of burning coal. Paranormal investigators exploring the site have captured intriguing evidence supporting the existence of the spectral train. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops concentrated near sections of the abandoned tracks, while EMF detectors spike unpredictably, suggesting the presence of residual energy tied to the disaster. Audio recordings captured during overnight expeditions include faint whistles blowing in rhythmic patterns and muffled voices shouting warnings like, "Brace yourselves!" and "It's coming too fast." Perhaps the most chilling discovery came when a team member accidentally triggered an old signal lantern, illuminating the area just long enough to reveal a translucent figure standing atop the engine, waving frantically as though trying to prevent another collision. Modern-day encounters with the spectral train suggest its curse extends beyond visual sightings. Hikers traversing Phantom Pass often describe hearing the rhythmic clatter of wheels on rails, growing louder and more insistent the closer they venture to the abandoned route. Some claim to feel vibrations beneath their feet, as though the ground itself trembles in anticipation of the train's arrival. Others have reported waking up in nearby campsites to find their tents soaked in icy dew, as though drenched by the condensation of a passing locomotive. One particularly harrowing account involves a group of campers who swore they saw their reflections in a puddle, only to realize the images depicted them aboard a crowded train, their expressions frozen in terror. Despite, or perhaps because of, its ominous reputation, the spectral train of Phantom Pass continues to draw curious souls eager to confront its malevolent energies. Urban explorers, paranormal investigators, and thrill-seekers descend upon the site armed with cameras, recording devices, and nerves of steel. Yet few emerge unscathed, their minds imprinted with visions and sensations too vivid to dismiss as mere imagination. As each new adventurer steps into the abyss, they must grapple with the knowledge that what awaits them may be more than they bargained for, a descent into madness, memory, and the unrelenting grip of the past. The spectral train of Phantom Pass stands as a haunting reminder of humanity's capacity for both progress and folly. Once a symbol of innovation and connectivity, the railroad now serves as a tomb for dreams extinguished and lives lost. Its crumbling tracks and desolate corridors whisper stories of suffering endured and justice denied, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. And if you dare to listen closely, you may just hear the echoes of Charles Alden and his doomed passengers, forever racing toward redemption on rails that refuse to grant it. When examining the haunted places of the Rocky Mountains, from the ghost town of Silver Plume to the spectral train of Phantom Pass, striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing mines of Creed to the shadowy depths of Dead Man's Gulch, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the miners trapped in collapsed tunnels or the betrayed trust of lovers torn apart by violence, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture and landscape in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic structures like the cursed cabin and abandoned mines create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: bedrooms where relationships ended, mines where lives were lost, or valleys where justice was denied. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing visitors to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted locations, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of the haunted places in the Rockies yourself. Walk the same trails where spirits are said to roam, stand in the cabins where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken havens offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.